Fantasy Dorks. How you doing? It's Richard Dragon, checking in for the Week 8 weekly wrap-up. Thank you, I'm back. What a wonderful week in fantasy football. One thing I do want to tell you all, in case you haven't noticed, because I know you pay a lot of attention to me physically when you're watching these videos, I got my mole removed. They did a little biopsy to find out, make sure it wasn't, cancerous or anything like that. And I said, hey, while you're there, lop the sucker right off. So my famous Dago mole is no longer. Okay, we're done. Great. Let's start off with our first matchup. This is a look at the Dorks Awaken versus the Antelope Postman. Okay, one word instantly comes to mind here, friends. Ouch! With Andy Dalton leading the squad for the Dorks. It wasn't looking good, was it? 234 yards passing. Not bad, right? But 2 picks and only 1 touchdown equals miserable fantasy numbers, all right? 9.6 fantasy points to be exact. You may also recall a little bit of an email exchange between Jason and Pedro this weekend. Okay, regarding a certain lack of attention to one's roster. I won't name any names. Jason, I'm sorry. The guy was releasing his first book. All right, let's give Jason a little bit of slack. Okay, slack done. I know it's week 8, guys, all right? But please, 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 stay engaged. Do not give up. There are not that many games. Most of you aren't that many games back from a playoff spot. Remember, 4th place starts where the playoffs are. So it really isn't that big of a gap there, okay? With the exception of maybe Norman, you can give up and nobody really likes you and you probably won't be back next season. But regardless, with the exception of Norman, a spot for the playoffs is still there for you guys, so don't give up. Okay, I'm sorry. As for the Postman, they deliver another great game in Week 8. Carson Palmer threw for 374 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick, but who cares about a pick when you have 4 touchdowns, right? For 46.4 fantasy points, also a great showing from Julio Jones with 162 yards receiving and 1 touchdown for 25.2 fantasy points equals booyah. The Postman take down the Dorks, 142.8 to 53 points. And with only 53 fantasy points, the Dorks, I know, to give you a little bit of slack, you had the book this week. The Dorks are getting a trophy, a signed trophy. Get it like signed book? Signed trophy. Shittiest team of the week trophy going out to Jason. And of course, we gotta give some love to the Postman as well. He remains at the top of the PPFL standings. Your number 1, buddy. That trophy is yours for another week with that record, that 7-1 record. Woo! Moving on to a matchup that blew some socks off. Okay, well, it didn't blow any socks off, but it definitely blew. The Bears versus the PC Police. Does it ever dawn on you, PTR, that karma's a bitch? All the shit you give me for these wrap-ups, and then little shit like this happens to you. In case the rest of you aren't paying attention, with New England taking on Miami, and I don't think there's any surprise that Brady had a great game, so Pops, no mention there, except I just did, right? The real standout for the Bears came on Monday night when Adam Vinatieri made 4 field goals and 2 extra points for 19 fantasy points. Whew. Hard to believe that Derek Carr, believe it or not, who was sitting on the Bears bench, not saying I would have started him, not over Brady, right? Sitting on his bench outscored Brady, but I digress. Rarely do I get excited about an injury, except in this case, when it affects the PC Police, I'm all about it, right? Le'Veon, not Levon, Le'Veon Bell is out. It's your fault, bitch, by the way, Paul. You made so much fun of me saying that guy by the wrong name earlier this season. That booyah, karma comes around. Injured reserve, he's done. Sure, you started, and I assume you will continue to start. Todd Gurley, okay, that'll be your defense, right? 133 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. The Gronk, no surprise, had a great game. 113 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. Okay, you're going to tell me Todd Gurley, yeah, I know. All right, a respectable showing for the PC Police, not enough to secure the win. The Bears take down the Police on Monday night. It's 116.2 to 110.7. 2 trophies awarded to the PC Police this week. First, humiliation sucks. Why? Well, because you're a dickbag. And it must be humiliating losing to Pops, like you did. Sorry, buddy. I'm also awarding the If Only trophy since had you started Alex Smith, you would have killed Pops. Now, again, Nobody needs to take my advice. Don't take my advice. You're stupid if you do. I'm not saying that I would have started Smith over Big Ben. Regardless, just coming back from that injury, definitely didn't have all of his lead in his pencil. He didn't have his spunk, and you lost. And that sucks. So congrats on getting the trophies, though, okay? Next up, the battle of the brothers from another mother. That is the Swine Smokers versus Best on Paper. This is the second time this season that I have congratulated one of my opponents prior to the end of Monday night, or prior to Tuesday morning, rather. Congratulated them on a win, and then the next day comes and I win. Weird. This time, though, someone got screwed by ESPN. We'll get there, I promise. Best on Paper's had some good numbers. I want to call this out here. Michael Crabtree receiving for 102 yards and 1 touchdown for 21.2 fantasy points. And Alshon Jeffrey, hopefully I'm saying that right, Paul. Please check my work. Receiving for 116 yards and 1 touchdown for 22.6 fantasy points. The Smokers got lucky this week. Yet again, got lucky. Matt Ryan finally had a great game with 397 yards. In my book, that's a great game. And it is, really. 2 touchdowns, of course, 1 fumble and a pick. Had the guy actually held onto the ball and not fumbled or not thrown an interception, I would have ended up with more points. 22.2. Not too bad, right? Smokers took down Best on Paper 106.5 to 105.1. Listen, I'm not trying to downplay my team here, okay? I really do mean this, and I'm not saying this for Danny, okay? But it's not looking good for the Smokers, all right? Had a big injury, all right? Keenan Allen on injured reserve. Somebody sliced open his kidney, I guess. I don't know. At any rate, frankly put, I've been getting lucky, all right? Anybody has the power to take me down. It's been my matchups, all of that. So please, somebody show me where to stick it, I guess, right? I'm going to award myself this week with Lady Luck, all right? And I'm also awarding my buddy Danny with the I Got Screwed trophy, since you went to bed on Monday night with what you thought was a win, and you woke up to ESPN adjusting our scores on Tuesday early morning, and you lost. 1.5 fantasy points separated you, my brother, from a win, so I'm giving you close but no cigar. Moving on to our next matchup, Niners suck versus Fear of a Dwarf Planet. Wow, Cheney, talk about hot and cold. You didn't take my advice, which is probably very smart. And you started Eli Manning against the Saints. Who would have thought that game would be such a powerhouse game of the total lack of defensive play from either team? At any rate, Eli had a fantastic game. Not as good as Drew Brees, of course, but 350 yards passing and 6 touchdowns. And even better, not a single pick. Woo! Got to be excited about that, right? 60 fantasy points, my friends. That made up nearly half of Cheney's total points. But hey, a win's a win, right? No matter how you look at it, everything else on your roster was just okay. Is that fair? Fear of a Dwarf Planet didn't take it sitting down. That's right. Instead, he came back and fired back with A.J. Green, 118 yards receiving, 1 touchdown for 22.8 points. Good effort, but not good enough overall. The Niners suck. Take down the win, 120.6 to 107. I'd also like to mention, even though I'm not awarding a trophy, but this week's chain of events moved Niners suck from the bottom of the stack. He was ranked number 10 last week in week 7. He got moved up. He's now number 8, only a few games back from a playoff spot. Again, this is a prime example of how it's not time to give up just yet, unless you're Norman, because we don't like you. And again, you probably won't be back next season. And can we kick him out? Is it possible? Does he even watch these? If you do watch these, Norman, maybe you'll get offended by that comment. You'll comment by email. I don't know. Speaking of Norman, let's take a look at the giant shit show. That's what I'm calling the matchup of Orange County Astars versus the Knights Templar. First off, how about Drew fucking Brees? 505 yards passing, 7 touchdowns for 71.3 fantasy points. Just imagine what would have happened with Brees if he hadn't have thrown 2 picks. I don't know. I really thought you had the win, my buddy. I really did. After watching the highlights on the Red Zone channel, by the way. I got Red Zone on Verizon Wireless. If you have that, you can download the NFL app. And the Red Zone is a channel on your mobile device. Is only like $2 a month or something like that. So you stream it to your TV and poof, you're good. Also, a nice showing by Brandon Cooks. Sorry, I digress. Got a little off track there, right? Also, nice showing by Brandon Cooks with 38 yards receiving for 2 touchdowns. Yeah, 30. Oh, I said 38 yards. My bad. 88 yards receiving for 2 touchdowns. 20.5 fantasy points. Michael Floyd with 106 yards receiving for 1 touchdown. 23.6 points. And with 172.6 fantasy points, 172.6, a sure win, right? Not quite. The Orange County asshole came out swinging with a good game by Phillip Rivers, only over 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns for 40 fantasy points. Also a good showing from Demaryius Thomas and AP, of course. But how about Odell Beckham Jr.? You have fantasy gold there, my brother. 130 yards receiving and 3. Not 1, not 2, 3 touchdowns for 38 fantasy points. Booyah. He's been a beast for you. If that wasn't enough, Little P's kicker, Justin Tucker. The guy made 5 field goals, 2 extra points for 23 fantasy points. I mean, this was an amazing shit show between these two fantasy owners. When push came to shove, Little P, well, he shoved it right in Norman's backside. Hit him in the back of the knees with a lead pipe like any dirty dago would. He took down the win, 179.4 fantasy points to 172.6. The loss causes Norman to fall from his previous spot to number 10 in the PPFL rankings and gives him the honor of being the recipient of the Lonely at the Bottom trophies. With 179.4 fantasy points in a win, Little P is the proud owner of Big Winner of the Week because, I mean, you did great, right? Also awarding you with another trophy because of all the shit talk and your arrogant nature this week, you're getting the golden dick for just kind of being a dick bag. And the sad thing is, it's like Little P and Big P. Little P, don't be a big bag of dicks like Big P, okay? That's all I got to say. All right, we're wrapping things up. Let's take a look at the standings. Number 4 team in the PPFL. Almost a tie for number 4, I should say. The Bears and the PC Police. PC Police currently has that spot. Number 3, Orange County Star. Number 2, the Swine Smokers with that 6-2 record. And number 1, the Antelope Postman. Who gives a shit, right? 7-1 for Pedro. I do care. I do. I think it's the best season Pedro's ever had in the PPFL. All right, folks, that's it. Richard Dragon saying goodbye. Have a great week 9. I'll be watching. Someone's going to kick my ass. I'm sure of it.